What's up, guys? Sin on stream here, back with another Flesh and Blood deck tech video. Today we are going to be going over my specific build of Briar for Blitz. I figure we're heading into Uprising. Old times really good in Blitz right now. This kind of, this has just kind of that equal potential to get through to him if you can get the aggressiveness of this build to work for you. It's pretty similar to, other Redline or Briar builds. It's not anything fancy. It's not anything we haven't seen before. A lot of this is kind of just stripped down from the typical classic constructed Briar. We're running a decent amount of blues just to kind of counteract things like Blizzard or, being taxed by our opponent. And if we're able to get a leg up on our opponent, we're able to use the same blues, the same Earth blues to really punch back with things like Channel Mount Heroic, Bramble Spark, and kind of pop off. We're running blue Captain's Calls and all that fun stuff. So we're going to talk about the deck today. And aside from talking about the deck, I wanted to make a few short announcements, and I'll keep it brief. We opened up a Patreon, so for $2 a month you can now get your name put in the credits of all of my YouTube videos. I wanted to give a shout out to our very first patron, BugiFly. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, dude. I very much appreciate it. It helps us kind of build and grow. I do plan on doing some giveaways through Patreon, some polls through Patreon as available. We have 3 tiers, so be sure to go check that out if you're interested. Of course, it's not required, and I'm not going to be pushing it super hard except for this initial push into it. But as we grow the channel, we want to be able to afford to pick up product to open for you guys and do different things for the community here. So I wanted to first off say thank you to BugiFly for being our first patron, and I will put a link in the description here if you would like to become a patron of the Soul Collective yourself. So without all that out of the way, be sure to like and subscribe the video here for the algorithm. Punch that subscribe button, kick it. Tell your grandma to subscribe. We're approaching 700 subs, and remember, at 1,000 subs we will be doing a giveaway. If you have not seen that, I have a video from a couple weeks ago explaining the details of the giveaway. We're aiming for 1,000 subs before Uprising comes out, and we are running out of time on that, so be sure to get in here, get your grandma to sub to the channel, get your mom to sub to the channel, get all your parents to sub, get your parents, your brothers, your siblings, your cousins second removed, tell everybody to sub to Sin. Without further ado, let's get into the deck tech and let's get going. So, all right, we're gonna go through and break it down by equipment. As you know, I am a Briar enthusiast. I have played Briar since the Ball Lightning days. And while Ball Lightning is gone out of the Blitz format and is no longer, and she's been errated and she's no longer, the big behemoth she has ever once been. She's a little weird to play, a little clunky, but out of that clunkiness is a uniqueness to, if you have a bad turn with Briar, it's not the worst thing in the world. You can kind of swing back from it, and you can even play your turns a little differently than other characters that aim to do what Briar does, which is straight aggro, pumping all of your attacks and building, creating auras off of that. So she's not as good as she was prior, but I still think Briar has some serious potential going into Uprising's first Blitz season. I think she's going to have a fun matchup against Fi, and I think she's going to have a fun matchup against Dromai and Blitz. Icelander as well. I think she's still going to be at least, maybe not the S tier, but at least the A tier in Blitz. And here's why. We're going to go over my short list here. This is pre-Uprising, so who knows? There might be some new generics that come out that play really well with Briar. We'll find out. So obviously Briar, if you know her, you love her, you hate her. She's she starts at 20 health. She says Essence of Earth and Lightning. Whenever an attack action card you control deals damage to an opposing hero, you create an embodiment of Earth token. Whenever you play your second non-attack action each turn, create an embodiment of lightning token. For all of those new players out there in the world, this has been errated. So it's the first ability, the Earth embodiment, only triggers once per turn now, so make sure you remember that. I believe the errated versions of her are going to LGSs as part of June's Armory kit. So, you know, hopefully that, you know, those questions kind of dissipate and go away. So equipment, and this is not a budget build. This is you know, this is the build for the dedicated player. Okay. You know, we got Arcanite Skullcap. Obviously, we're gonna run that into things like Oldheim, Bravo. We're gonna run this into any of the heavy hitters. You know, Crown of Dichotomy. I'd say Crown of Dichotomy, possibly, you know, you're going to want to put this in a wizard. You get the AB1, you get the cycle on the non-attack, the Runeblade non-attack action card. We don't really care about that as much as we just care about having the Arcane Barrier 1. Because in Blitz, oftentimes, if you're playing against Kano, you know, this conditional Arcane Barrier 3 is not going to help you as much as you think it will. So, you know, if you're going into wizard, so Icelander or Kano, I would say Crown of Dichotomy for sure. Fyendal Spring Tunic, you know, we can, you know, this is the typical staple. You know, y'all know what this does. If you're feeling spicy, I don't know why you would want to maybe run this, because it's not Spring Tunic, but Bloodsheath Skeleta is still not banned in Blitz. So you can run Skeleta in Blitz. I may recommend running that just for the 2 defense against like Guardian or Guardian. And you know, maybe if you run into like a Benji, having that second so you don't get your Spring Tunic broken. Skeleta might still be the best option there for defensive measures. But if you are staring down another aggro deck and you just want to go off, I recommend Spring Tunic even in Blitz for this, mainly because that one you can, you know, peel off at the end of a giant chain and you know, swing Rosetta. So, you know, you also got to kind of be careful, though. I mean, you know, Blitz is getting faster, so, you know, if you're planning on trying to pop off with the Tunic at the end of the chain, you might want to just, like, you know, wall up whenever you can and kind of just, like, swing back whenever you can. You might have to play a more of a tempo game, but just, it's, you know, it's the duck and weave, maintaining the tempo with Briar. Grasp of the Arknight, this one's a given. If you roll into a bad first hand, you know, just pitch to the grasp, you know, pitch to the grasp, create a rune chant, move on with your life. It blocks for 2. Some chains by the end of it, you know, some of your potential combat chains, by the end of it, you have the ability to, you know, break the chain, pop a rune, like create a rune blade. You know, and that's an aura creation for things like Swarming Gloom Veil, which, you know, if you need to get go again on it, you could, you know, pitch a blue, create a rune chant, there's your 1 aura for the turn, then Swarming Gloom Veil for 3 go again. It's essentially to help out the Gloom Veil. So, you know, you're not going to be, you know, grasping every turn like you might have done previously, or you would do with like Chain or Viscerai. You're not going to be doing that. You're not going to be using this ability for that. You're mainly using this as a block to kind of like keep cards in your hand. You got the 2 defense there. Snapdragon Scalers. This one's an obvious. We all know what that does. You know, you're going to want to crack that off of like a, you know, off of like a snatch or something like that. You know, although it's a very obvious play if you're gonna just like start your turn by playing Snatch, no go again, your opponent's gonna know you're probably planning on cracking the Snapdragon Scalers as a reaction. You know, it's a little bit of a gamble to kind of do that, but I mean, you definitely can do that. Or if you really need a Scar for a Scar to get go again, or you know, if you need to get a Lightning Surge to get go again, or even an Exude Confidence, you know, or even a Coax, you know. But your real goal, and we'll get into that here shortly, kind of helps, you know, those cards that don't have natural go again gain the go again. So Vexing Quillhand, obviously this one is more for the wizard matchup. You're able to, you know, if you're able to create 2 rune chants off of it. So, you know, you pop the 2 rune chants, say you have a Gloom Veil in hand, that's now coming in for 4 go again. This is later on in the chain and you've already created that embodiment of Earth, you know, that gets you all 3 auras that you need to get the Swarming Gloom Veil's final effect to go off, where if it hits, your opponent can't block arcane damage this turn, so that you could really push some serious damage off that. We all know how good Gloom Veil is, but it's a little harder to trigger that third ability in Briar. I've done it a couple times. It takes a little while, like off of Revel and Runeblood. You know, but sometimes with the way Briar plays, it just doesn't line up that way. Sometimes you just kind of have to, you know, bite the bullet and, you know, play the Gloom Veil for 3 go again most of the time. Yeah, so I mean, this is like, we're not running Sonata obviously because Sonata's banned in Blitz, but here is what our breakdown is. Now we're running more reds than we are blues. And that should be obvious why. I mean, we want to be playing, we don't really want to be pitching for anything unless it's Channel Mount Heroic, or putting something on the bottom of the deck unless it's like an Enlightened Strike, right? So the goal here starts with, you know, Briar's ability. We really want to be, you know, playing a non-attack action, one non-attack action, then another non-attack action to get the lightning embodiment, and then playing a card without go again to take full advantage of that embodiment. You know, and there's multiple ways we could do this, playing within that plan, because when we do that, it also turns on Rosetta Thorn. We all know what Rosetta Thorn does. I mean, it's kind of a menace if you play against Rune Blades right now. It's very much a well-known card. I don't even think I need to really explain that. If you're a newer player, basically, if I've played a non-attack action, and then an attack action, and then I attack with Rosetta Thorn, it deals 2 physical damage and 2 arcane, so 2 and 2. So, you know, Briar's all about splitting damage between arcane and physical. So how are we going to do this? All right, so we are running 2 red Bramble Sparks. You know, the red Bramble Spark, the next attack action card you play this turn, gains when you attack with this, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. If it was fused, the next attack action card you play is +3. So that's pretty basic. That's pretty easy. It costs 0 to play, so you just play it, and hopefully you have, you know, have an earth action in your hand, because if you do, if you got a Channel Mount Heroic, or you have a Tome of Harvest, or Weave Earth, or Earthlord Surge, you're able to fuse it and give your next attack +3. So, you know, say you do that, and then you have like a Weave Earth, or not even a Weave Earth, maybe even a you know, maybe even a Captain's Call or something like that, or a Force of Nature ideally, then you would be able to play both of those and then go into a Coax of Commotion for 7 go again with 1 arcane on top, and that's pushing pretty significant damage when we're talking Blitz life totals. So, you know, and if that hits, then you can create a Quicken token, which could give your next attack go again, and then you could also draw a card, which could draw you into your next attack. So say you draw then into like an Entwined Lightning, you're able to kind of, you know, pop off so and so. So we're on a Bramble Spark, 2 Bramble Spark, 2 Channel Mount Heroic. This is your big pusher. Ideally, you want to keep Channel Mount Heroic out for at least 1 turn. At least 1 turn. I think 1 turn is probably the most you're going to get out of each Channel Mount. So, you know, if you have to Arsenal that on turn 1, you know, you Arsenal that on turn 1. Turn 2, you draw into a blue, you know, like a blue Earth card, and then you have like 4 attack cards or 3 attack cards that all have go again. You know, you could quite literally Channel Mount Heroic, you know, then push at least like 21 damage. You know, 21 threaten at least 21 damage at minimum 25 if you can get Rosetta off at the end of it. And that's more than lethal in Blitz, so your opponent is going to be put on the back foot pretty quickly with a Channel Mount out. You know, I've played games where I've gotten Channel Mount Heroic out turn 1, and it sticks around for that turn 2. So I'm able to then Channel Mount Heroic and then play, then draw into a full play, take all that damage, and then push another 21 damage the next turn. It's kind of nasty if you get things to line up correctly. And by that time in turn 2, you're dealing at least like 30 to 34 damage total. You know, Coax of Commotion, you really want to be playing this off of your embodiment, or off of your lightning embodiments. You want to try to save Snapdragons for when you know you're probably going to pop off. You know, so, you know, use Snapdragon. You only get the 1 Snapdragon hit, so just, you know, use that sparingly. Coax of Commotion, obviously it's a good card for Briar because it creates a Quicken token, but it also does give Quicken token to your opponent, so be aware of that. Use your best judgment. Like, do you want to really give a ninja, you know, go again, or do you really want to give Oldheim a go again, so he can, you know, like Oaken Old you and then Winter's Wail you? Like, you don't want to be dealing with that in Blitz, so be mindful when you're choosing the Coax of Commotion modes to use. I typically only go for the card draw unless I know I'm going to be able to follow up with a huge enough hit to nullify my opponent even needing the Quicken token next turn. There are also some matchups where it's like, okay, your opponent's not even going to really bother with the Quicken token. It's just going to sit, like, it'll sit, give whatever they play go again, and then they're not going to be able to do anything after that anyways, because it doesn't really fit into their plan. But use your best judgment on Coax Commotion. I mean, it's a 0 cost, hits for 4, blocks for 2. You know, it's just something that Briar likes, okay? So, you know, you're running 2 Coaxes, you're running 2 Enlightened Strikes. This one should be obvious. Try and play this off of an Embodiment of Lightning so you get the go again. If you have a Force of Nature out, you could do the +2, so it's 7 go again. If it hits, you would draw a card. Or you could just draw a card straight up, and if you have like a Lightning Press over top of it, so you get 2 cards in hand. You know, playing it that way. We're only running 1 Entwined Lightning in here, and the reason for it is because the only 2 lightning cards other than Entwined Lightning you were running in this deck to actually use the fuse for it are Lightning Press and Lightning Surge. So, you know, half the time Lightning Surge is not going to be in your hand. You are going to probably have this sitting in your arsenal. Lightning Press, you don't want to reveal this to your opponent. You really don't, because they're going to wall up, making Lightning Press inefficient. So while Entwined Lightning is an awesome card, you can play this off of an Embodiment of Lightning and give it go again. I figured I would take that one out because I don't like this card as much as a lot of other people do. And that's more of a personal preference. You could swap one in for something else and just be done with it. Exude Confidence, I like to play this in the I like to play this in the Guardian matchups, obviously. You know, you don't get a sideboard in Blitz, so you don't really get to choose, but you want to play this off of your Embodiment of Lightning, another really good card for that, like, non-attack attack action, because it's 0 for 4, blocks 2. You know, but while Exude Confidence isn't defended by a card with equal or greater attack, the defending hero can't play or activate instance or D-reacts his combat chain. So if you're in the middle of a pop-off and you suspect your Old Him is about to wall up, the guy in front of you that's playing Old Him, or the guy in front of you that's playing Kano is going to, like, try to instant or D-react on you, what you really want to do then is, you know, take one of these blues, pitch to it, and hopefully if you have a Lightning Press in hand, Lightning Press over top of it, so that makes... so that turns Exude Confidence into a 5, so into a 9. So, you know, things like Oak and Old wouldn't be able to block it out and prevent that from occurring. So, you know, and Kano almost all the time, without even doing the Lightning Press and whatnot, you're going to be able to just kind of get through it and, you know, not have to really worry about it. You're not going to have to worry about Kano trying to pitch or do the instance. So you'll be able to play around Exude Confidence pretty. You'll be able to play around that realm. Fate Foreseen. So this one's kind of like a weird throw-in point of contention. I know I posted my deck list from my last Armory where I went undefeated with this deck. And Fate Foreseen is just a good defensive reaction. If you are in a situation where you are setting up a Force of Nature turn on your next turn, you know, you can use Fate Foreseen, block 4 from your opponent, you know, play it from Arsenal, opt and see what if you were to pop off with that Force of Nature, see what that top card is, and then decide whether or not it goes to the bottom or stays on the top. I like that more than Sink Below, because, you know, while cycling is great, I just like to be able to see what's coming next, and being able to opt one and, you know, see, oh, I have a Coax of Commotion on the top of the deck that I could then pump on my Force of Nature come next turn. And, you know, you get the point. You're able to kind of cycle that and use that in a very specific situation, as well as just using it as a defense reaction for 4. You know, Blitz is becoming a faster format. Characters like Oldheim and, you know, like Oldheim and even Ira are moving in real fast on being able to punch damage through really quick. You have to, as much as I hate to say it, even if you are in an aggro deck, I firmly believe you should at least be running one suite of defense reactions just in case, especially with Lexi doing dominate. Lexi doing dominate, Bravo does dominate, Oldheim does dominate. Like, you just need to be able to save yourself from eating half of your life in one turn. You really do. I'm sorry to say it like that, but you do. Lightning Press, this is a game ender, okay? This is a game ender, okay? If you could hold on to a Lightning Press, you could use this for multiple. This is like a multi-tool, okay? Red Lightning Press, you are going to either use this in reaction to your opponent declaring defenses while you have a Force of Nature or a Channel Mount Heroic out. And what you're going to do is you're going to Lightning Press over the top, and you're going to draw the card off the Force of Nature. Or if your opponent is sitting at the end of their life, they have like 2 life left, and they full block something. You go over the top with 3. Unless they have a defense reaction, they're dead. It's that simple. So you have to, play within it, because you only have 2 in the deck. But if you see one, use your best judgment when playing it. I recommend using this to push that +3 over on something that just doesn't look as threatening while a Force of Nature is out. And it's just, it's one of Briar's fun little combat tricks. Lightning Surge, we're going to play this from Arsenal to give it go again, so if you, non-attack, play a Coax of Commotion with go again, then you can Lightning Surge for go again, and then you can play like a Scarf for go again, crack your Tunic, and swing with Rosetta. Like, you can push a lot of damage if you have Lightning Surge set up in your arsenal. Ideally, if you see this turn 1, this is the card you're going to put in your arsenal. Like, if this is in your opening hand, and you're able to... if you go first and this is your opening hand, put it in arsenal, save it for later. Nimblism, this one's this one's so easy. It's just, if you Force of Nature into Nimblism, then your next attack, if it hits, is going to guaranteed draw you a card. Like, it's just basic science. It's math here. We're swinging with big dumb numbers. Ravenous Rabble, since we're running a red line, obviously this is a typical Briar staple. Ravenous Rabble, 0 cost, reveal the top card of your deck. Ravenous Rabble gets -X, where X is the pitch value of the card revealed this way. Go again. You're running so many reds in this deck. The odds of you hitting a blue are very slim, and if you hit the Gorganian Tome, it comes in for 5 go again, because Gorg Tome doesn't pitch. So, that's an easy one. If on a Force of Nature turn, if you draw into a Revel and Runeblood, and you still have more attacks to play. I know I pushed almost 8. I pushed 10 arcane damage off of getting 2 Revel and Runebloods off of a Force of Nature draw. 2 Force of Nature draws. And like, I was able to, I believe it went like Force of Nature into Nimblism into a Snatch for 7. I cracked the Snapdragon Scalers. I just happened to draw 2 Rebel and Runebloods. Off of that, I was able to create 8 Rune Chants with the Rebel and Runebloods, and use my Spring Tunic energy to swing Rosetta for 2/2 and then 8 Rune Chants. So I mean, that's pretty deadly in Blitz. That's a pretty deadly combo in Blitz. Revel and Runebloods is just a good card. You don't want to really see it early. You want to see it in the middle of your Force of Nature draws. That's really the best place to try and find it. Scar for Scar is a given. You don't really want to be blocking as much with this deck with your cards from hand. So, trying to stay a little bit below your opponent's life total is smart. You might get very far ahead, but then on that following turn, it lets you kind of catch back up to them. You really want to try avoiding kill zones. Like, you really don't want to go below 9 health most of the time. If you do, you're getting into very dangerous territory. I would say maybe like 7 or 8 is okay. But if you're going up against like Oldheim, which you're going to probably see a lot of in Blitz going forward, those Oakenolds that are those double fused Oakenolds can really hurt. could really hurt towards the end of the game. So, you know, just, you know, keep in mind for it, but you really want Scar for a Scar to have go again. Snatch, you know, this is good because if you're able to pump a Snatch to 7 off of a Force of Nature turn, you're going to be able to draw 2 cards. You would attack, react, break Snapdragons, draw 2 cards, go again. And then hopefully you pull into something like a what is it, like a Ravenous Rabble or a Scar for a Scar at that point, or even Gloom Veil, or even a Captain's Call, so you can give like a Coax of Commotion go again, or you can give like an Exude Confidence in hand go again, and kind of go from there. So Swarming Gloom Veil, we already discussed it a little bit earlier in the video. I'm not going to go too much more in depth than that. We all know how that works. Captain's Call lets you give something go again. It's also a non-attack action, very easy. We're playing the blue in case we need to pitch for, like a desperate Channel Mount Heroic. Earthlord Surge, next attack action card you play gains +3. It's a good card for just doing that. It's an earth action, so you can fuse it with Bramble Spark, Force of Nature, or you can pitch it for Channel Mount Heroic and it sticks around for a turn. Force of Nature, obviously, this is the key, one of the key cards of the deck. You really want to see Force of Nature. You play Force of Nature, you fuse it, and your next attack gets +1. But any attack that you play this turn that has +X, that has been buffed, when it hits, you draw a card. So, Force of Nature is a powerhouse in the deck. Ideally, you want to play Force of Nature when you have a Channel Mount Heroic out, because it's just a guaranteed, like, I'm going to hit you for 7. If it hits, I draw a card. Hit you for 7. If it hits, I draw a card. Hit you for 7. If it hits, I draw a card. And you just want to keep going down that line, because eventually you're going to draw out your deck, your opponent's going to run out of resources, and you're able to just spearhead straight through them. Tome of Harvests, this is a desperate play, but again, it is a blue, it pitches for 3, earth action card. It's good for the fusing. If you have a card in your arsenal that you really want to cycle out, that you just really don't need, and you want to try and set up for a big turn, Tome of Harvests, you ditch like an Earthlord Surge from your hand, play the Tome of Harvests, put that card on the bottom of your deck, draw 3 cards. You've already gotten your earth action for the turn, and it has go again. So now you're playing with a 5-card hand, and you're able to kind of then adjust and pop off from there. So we're running 2 of those. Weave Earth. Weave Earth is basic. You're not playing really any Earth attack action cards, but this is a failsafe. This card is just an easy failsafe. Once again, pitches for 3, Earth action. It's probably not going to do too much for your attacks, except maybe like Entwine Lightning, since it's an elemental attack action. Lightning Surge is a lightning action, so it doesn't do anything there. It's Weave Earth is kind of like an up for debate card. You could really swap it out for an Evergreen if you wanted to, but I don't know why you would. I think Weave Earth is good where it's at. It's just, you're not really playing it for the effect. You're playing it to create that embodiment of lightning, because it's a 0 cost non-attack action. It's just a spot filler, honestly. Speaking of really good non-attack actions that have won me games, Gorganian Tome is an obvious one. Gorg Tome is a staple in all Rune Blades. If you're playing the mirror matchup and your opponent plays Gorg Tome and it comes around later in the game and you pull that Gorg Tome, you're drawing 2 cards. So, I've done Force of Nature, then Gorg Tome, then, with the Channel Mount Heroic out, and then I'm able to just pop off and kill my opponent easily. It's really nice ramp into card draw, and that's what this deck overall aims to do. There's multiple versions of this. It's a very similar deck to most other Briar decks. You'll find with just the kind of big changes being the defense reactions. I've just found that you can be a little more comfortable, and you kind of have more peace of mind having at least one suite of defense reactions. You could do this or Sink Below, but Fate Foreseen is a pretty decent card, especially if you're going to set up a Force of Nature turn your next turn, just to see what's on that top deck, to see what's coming. You could even try and gamble a little bit and set up like, oh, that's not a Gorganian Tome on the top, but I want to play a Ravenous Rabble next turn. I'm going to put that you know, put whatever card that was on the bottom of the deck, and then maybe, just maybe, there's a slim chance that when I play that Ravenous Rabble, I reveal a Gork Tome. And you know, you're able to kind of just like it's a very flexible deck. You just have to think about your moves in the sense of like, I'm going to let you hit me, but on my next turn, I am warning you, I am going to hit you back for lethal. And it's going to be like that every single turn. And that is essentially Briar. That is my deck list for Briar Blitz going into the Uprising preseason. So, you know, honestly, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know down below what you thought of it. Let me know what your thoughts are going into the Uprising season. What heroes do you think are going to be good? And be sure to check back here on the channel sometime this week and next weekend as we start to go over the Flesh and Blood Uprising spoilers. We're very excited for that. We're going to be doing some Tabletop Simulator with the new cards once we have enough of them to kind of start constructing decks out of. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great week. Sin out.